Hey everybody, yay, I'm back on YouTube. I haven't made a video for ages. I thought I'd make a series of videos actually. I've just done a tune with Georgia Mary, who's a fantastic YouTuber. In the first week of this medley that she's done of the Moana Disney film. I think it's around 1.5 million hits in the first week. It's going absolutely ballistic. I thought people might like to see what goes into the actual music behind it. She does such a great job of the vocals and recording herself singing, and also the video. Fantastic stuff. So very quickly I'll put some links up to her YouTube, also the company that I did the track for, which is Sinking Karaoke, and another company who were involved in the kind of hookup is Paris Music. So all the links are going to go up, plus also I'll put my website link up there, and you're obviously already on my YouTube, so you know what that is. So we're going to get straight in. The first video is going to be the production of the percussion, just the percussion, because if I just show you on the screen, this is the final mix. This is the finished mix session, as it were. These are all folders. We're in Cubase 9. There's going to be a lot of technical stuff. I'll try and fly through it, not to bore the pants off you with loads of details, but basically we're going to cut straight into all the... I thought you might want to know what the different libraries I'm using, the different plugins I'm using, all that kind of production techie stuff, which is a mile away from the glamour and glitz of the finished product, but it is the guts that go into it. So on the screen here we've got a bunch of folders, and to give you an idea of the amount of work that's involved in this, I'll open that's just the drums and percussion stems, which are the red bars there. There's quite a lot there, which is what we're going to go into now. We're going to have a look at where that all came from. For instance, that's the basses, a few different basses. That's the different keyboard parts. Actually, I've got to put my glasses on. Just realised I haven't got my glasses on. So that's the keyboard parts there. I can see now. Brilliant. Okay. That's the acoustic guitars. Across the top, by the way, these are the different songs in the medley as it goes through. The whole medley is over 11 minutes long, so it's quite a long one. So that's the acoustic guitars, the yellow blobs there, electric guitars, and then there's the various parts that I've overdubbed as part of the mix session, which I decided to do brass as an overdub in the mix session. The strings are stems from another session. So when you're doing something this size, for instance, orchestral, big, bombastic, trailer, you know, kind of huge things, I always find it's best to break it all down, do just the percussion, and then export as many different stems as possible, and bring them into the main mix, the final mix session, as it were, which my computer is 9 years old, so it just doesn't really keep up with all the stuff. I've got all the bells and whistles going off with all the plugins, reverbs, all that kind of stuff. Everything I do these days is mixed in the box. I do, like, now and again, I've got an analog board, so I can mix analog, but just for recall, it's great to mix in the box these days. So anyway, yes, that's the orchestral brass, and then I've got horns, which are separate, which is more kind of a horn section, kind of. Then these are all of George's vocals, which there's tons of. So this is my computer trying to keep up here. So you can see that's and I've kept everything as separate as possible to have more control in the mix. Every backing vocal is still kept separate. Nothing's mixed down. Nothing's bounced down. So I can still tweak things in the mix, different kind of balances. And that's about it. Master bus, all that kind of stuff. But I will come back to this session at the end and show you all put together. And for now, though, I will now load up the percussion session. So we're back here with the percussion session for the medley, and there's no folders this time. There's no need, basically. So every track down here is a different part. The different colours are the different songs as the whole medley progresses. So the first actual piece of music at the beginning is the intro section, which I'm going to try and... Okay, I haven't seen Moana for a start. I've no idea how some of this stuff's pronounced, and also I'm not completely aware of the full story, so if I get stuff wrong, you know, don't bother correcting me, because I'm kind of just guessing. But for want of a better word, I will use the word tribal drums, because there's a lot of percussion in this. Percussion's a big part of this medley, and a big part of the soundtrack of Moana. I think because of when it was set and that kind of, I don't know, I'll just say tribal. I don't know how to describe it, but so there's a lot of kind of older style percussion instruments. So I've got some artistic license when I do these tracks. I don't have to stick exactly to it, but it's got to have the same kind of flavor, same kind of vibe. So the beginning, there's not a lot of percussion in the beginning. There's some big old drums happening. I'll just play what I got. There you go. That's a big drum. So we got taikos by the looks of it. Let me see what I was using in total. So this is a bit of a recap for me as well, because it's a little while since I came back to this. So I'm using, down the side here is listing the actual plugins and libraries and stuff. So I'm using battery, kick, I'll come back to that, sample tank, which is IK multimedia, another battery, Poison, which is image line, Poison, that's a synth, contact, play, which is east west, another battery, and another contact. And by the way, contact is like the must have. I mean, if you haven't got contact, you kind of got to get it, really, I think. Also the east-west stuff, play, and battery, which will come with a lot of the Native Instruments kind of stuff anyway. I've got the Native Instruments Ultimate 9, what's it called? Complete Ultimate 9, which has the full version of contact, full version of battery, a load of other stuff. But okay, so let's cut straight to what we've got here. So the taikos are coming from a... Pretty sure it's going to be... Oh no, they're coming from... So this is going to be Action Strikes, which is a Native Instruments. That's what it looks like. So there's big old taikos, which are... There you go, I'll turn them up a little bit so you get a bit more of a flavour. Okay, so big stuff. We've also got a... Okay, this is the Damage Armageddon kit, which is in contact as well. I'll play some of that for you. Where is that? That one there. So it's kind of, I've turned it down. It's low in the mix, but that's kind of a good one to have. Armageddon Ensemble it's called, which is kind of the big stuff, and it goes all the way from the high sticks and snares right the way down to the bass drums, toms. There will be some louder stuff of that later on, which is easier to hear, so I'll play that. So yeah, at the beginning there's not a lot, there's some big sounds, an explosion, so it's all that kind of low stuff. So all together then it creates a big, a big boom, which is important for film stuff. Same again a bit later on. So the first two songs, it was Tulu Tagalawa, I think, and then An Innocent Warrior, which is the second part. So not a lot of percussion. Then it starts to pick up because you've got a song called Where You Are. I've had to write these down so I can remember what I've got. So yeah, Where You Are, which gets a little bit more lively. Then we've got more stuff going on. So this is the Damage I was talking about. So that's the tight Armageddon kit, which is not as ambient, but you can hear it goes from the high stuff down through brush snares and snares down to the bottom stuff. On top of that we've got a frame drum, which is the 8DO, I'm pretty sure, I'll just find it. Yeah, the 8DO solo frame drum, which is playing, I presume, a pattern on top of that. Oh, it's just hitting some low notes. Okay, then there's a daiko, which isn't in this section, I don't think. No, then there's a taiko, not in this section. Okay, and then some congas come in towards the end of the verse and then for the bridge in this one, just to liven up, and they are in sample tank. Some wood blocks. which feature quite heavily in this, actually, the wood blocks, especially later on. And a djembe, which is the native instruments, pretty sure that's going to be, yeah, the native instruments, West Africa. Djembe. And then kick, which is a bit of a strange one for this because it's just a basic, like a dance, you know, like a dance bass drum. But that's just there to just drive the whole thing really underneath. So altogether then it sounds like this. And then when it really gets to going, and the only other thing that isn't there that you can't see is down here, which is shakers. There's quite a lot of shakers in this song, so you should always make sure you got one of these little egg shakers to hand for the live shaker parts and all that. Always worth doing. So there's some shaker loops there I put together just to provide that little top end kind of rhythm. And then we've got some, is it a guiro? Yeah, guiro comes in there. Oh, of course it does, yes. And that's on the next.
I like to dance with the water, the undertow and the waves.
And the frame drum is still going there, just pulsing underneath, which is, that's the section where the little acoustic guitar comes in. And I think the grandmother starts to sing. And this is a song called Where You Are, so it goes through the whole section of the family singing to Moana, and then the grandmother sings about like playing in the waves or something. So at the end we've got a rain stick effect and also a wind chime just to kind of finish off that little sequence. So we then moved into a tune called How Far I'll Go. I wasn't sure if there was actually supposed to be some sea wash in the background, but I put it there anyway because it kind of sounded like there was something going on from the original film. Like I said, I'd never seen the film, so I was working completely by ear on it all. So there's a bit of sea wash and also some sort of whistle effects, which is, it's me with my tin whistle, basically my Irish whistle, just kind of blowing across the mouthpiece. Which, to do that, and then that's then through a delay. What have I got through? It's going through a replica, which is a native instruments delay, which is quite a kind of a cool vintage kind of effect delay, which has got it's got a wide setting on it, which kind of sends the delays out left and right without really putting chorus on it. I guess it's some kind of slight time delay thing. But yeah, but that's quite effective. So that's my little. Like that, and then there's a bit later on which, so you can see what I've done there is I've used Wave's sound shifter because I couldn't actually, I don't know what instrument it was, but it was obviously dropping in pitch, and all I could do was play the same pitch and basically change it a little bit. So I've automated that. This is the automation track here. These are semitone drops here. Yes, right, yes. So I've automated it to drop down during that passage. So the first thing, it's bypassed anyway. You can see here, the plugin is bypassed. So then when it comes to the next section, I've automated it to switch on. So there it's switched on now. And then it will drop in pitch to create that kind of drop. Which is, it's kind of rudimentary way of doing it, but it just achieves what you need to get. Sometimes it's easier just to grab something which will make a sound which is similar and then mutate that rather than trying to go through library after library just trying to find, you know, a stock sound which is like that or an instrument. We got some drum crescendo going into How Far I'll Go. That's right, How Far I'll Go, which is the kind of one of the ballady kind of slow ones, more orchestral. So there's quite a lot of sort of tinkly stuff going on. So we've got some triangles, some cymbal crescendos. Again, there's a bit of taiko in there, which is Oh, that's a play taiko. So that's East-West taiko, which will be. This is the play, by the way. This is the skin of play, which is the East-West. I have the Composer Cloud X from East-West, which is like a subscription. So you subscribe every year, and then you can just download basically the whole stuff, the libraries. The Hollywood orchestra is particularly good, especially the brass. Fantastic. So on here, it was the taiko, wasn't it? The taiko, which is actually probably a daiko, not a taiko. No, it's not. It's yes, channel 6. It's a O daiko, which is in Storm Drum 2. Here you go. So it's all that kind of low. So it's a daiko, not a taiko. I've labelled it taiko because I thought that's what I was looking for. A sangba, which is like a giant African drum, I think. And some crescendo cymbals, and then the triangle playing the rhythm, which is probably in battery, I would think. Yeah, there's just various triangle samples I've collected over the years. A lot of my libraries I've converted from old S3000, old S5000 libraries, excuse me, into battery and contact, because I still know what I'm looking for. I get a sound, I think I need to get a particular kind of snare sound or whatever, an explosion. And I've built the libraries up over the years, so I've managed to get them into battery and contact, so I can get them straight away. You can probably see behind me, well, you can't really, but there's I've got an old S5000 still going strong-ish. Okay, so again, not a lot going in that section, just a little bit of tinkly stuff and a bit of rhythm once it gets going into the chorus, and again some sort of high end, all that kind of stuff. So we move into the next section, which is a song called We Know the Way, which is the kind of the Voyager thing where they're on the boat, I think, and they're kind of exploring islands and all that kind of stuff, and it's the first time that the kind of all the Voyagers are all singing together away from the village, and it's a bit more triumphant, and it gets a bit bigger again. I'll just play the section and then we'll break it down. So here we go, this is where it goes into it. Okay, so we've got some taikos again. Which have got a lot of sounds within the taiko. Has got different ways of playing it, I guess, different ways of hitting the skin, and you've got the big ensemble and you've got the little sort of sticky bits, and so it goes from to the big booms at the bottom, and that's going to be the Native Instruments Action Strikes again, I believe. Yeah, so that's again Action Strikes, which I think comes with complete 10 and 11, but I had complete 9, so I had to buy Action Strikes on top. But anyway, that's that, and then again the damage. What is that library called? It's the Native Instruments, but it's okay. It's damage, which looks in contact. It looks like that. That's the actual. How the library comes up, different hits. I think there's some loops in there probably, but I don't really use loops that much. I usually just like to program my own loops with hits. So that's some toms and some lower kicks and hits. Again, all of that's off one plugin, one library. And we've got another frame drum, which is the 8DO frame drum, which is always great for adding that real organic. You can kind of almost really feel it hitting. It's got such a lovely way of recording the drums. You can really, what's the word? It's organic. It doesn't feel like it's heavily processed. It's kind of like the drum is right there next to you, kind of thing. It's not like the other side of a room where you've got all this kind of reverb and stuff on it. It's real, but you can add it obviously. But so we've got more of the daiko, which is the East-West Storm Drum 2. And then this time we've got a taiko, which might actually be a taiko. No, it's another daiko. Yeah, and that's on Storm Drum 3 library from East West. We got the congas back in Sample Tank, and also the djembe's back. And I actually stupidly didn't show you the kick earlier. Well, just drop back to that. Basically, it's a Sonic Academy Kick 2, which looks a bit like that and is capable of making a subtle kick like that, or it goes to anything from that to a massive dance kick. Look into it. This is Sonic Academy Kick 2. I'm using it in a very subtle way on this just to drive the beat, and it comes back in later on. But we were on, how far I'll go, I think. No, it wasn't. We were on We Know the Way. So I'll put all of those elements back together for you to hear. Oh, this time we got a live kick underneath, which is interesting. What's that then? Yes, that's going to be okay. It's actually two bass drums together from Native Instruments, and that is the Abbey Road modern kit, and it's combined with a studio drummer. So both of those I've got with the complete Native Instruments. I've no idea why I've combined the two, but it must have just worked at the time. So two bass drums together. They're very good kits. I use a lot. So there's some cymbals, all self-explanatory, and another shaker loop, obviously. So the whole lot comes together and goes. So all those little subdivisions, all the little hits make such a difference to the way that it all sort of moves along and grooves, you know. And on their own, they all sound a bit weird sometimes, you know. You can sound a bit disjointed and... I mean, what is that? Is it... Right in the beat. Okay, so let's move along. So the next song is the kind of the big show, I don't know, I'd call it the kind of the show tune of the film, which is You're Welcome, which is Maui, character's Maui. That's his, The Rock plays Maui, and this is his big moment in the film, I guess. So this is kind of more of a contemporary kind of flavour. It's got a brass horn section on it, all that kind of stuff, and it's got a real drummer on it, a real drum kit, or at least real drum sounds rather than just percussion, you know. So so for the beginning bit of that, it starts off quite percussive and it just builds into a full-on kind of more of a kind of just a straightforward kind of beat with the percussion elements still going on. So the first section goes. So we've got the Damage, again, that's come back. This is the Damage Armageddon kit with just the high sticks, which are all around there. Frame drum is back as well, as usual, always works. Then I've got some low hits, which are coming from East West. That's on channel 3, so that's going to be Low Accents, which is part of Percussive Adventures. Which, I mean, you tell me, it's just kind of like a collection of... Anyway, so I'm using some low end off that, which is almost like a kind of a bass drum, but it's a really ambient. I just wonder if I've got any plugins on that. I don't think I have, actually. I may have. Let's just have a look in the mixer. No. Okay, there's not. I mean, with the percussion session, there's not a great use of plugins, which is not. I'm not really diving into the plugins or the mixer side of it. I'm not really using. I'm using them kind of as they are, and then I can always tweak them later in the mix and stuff. But for the actual session, I'm kind of using the sounds pretty dry as they come out of the box. So woodblocks, a massive part of this tune, because there's some mention of coconuts later on. So it's the whole kind of clip clop coconut thing. That's part of the rap. So woodblocks start off quite subtle, and as the track builds then later on, they kind of feature and starts to poke out like that. Might be some more, maybe. Yes, at the end of the rap actually coming up. It's a bit comical, but it works in the track anyway. So and so early on we got the kick is back, up until the point where the live drums kick in. So just the live drums on their own kind of do this. So you can imagine the drummer comes in then when it picks up for the chorus. Straightforward live drum kit. But if you go back and drop the percussion over the top of the drum kit, it starts to make sense. It keeps the same kind of vibe. So this is the rap breakdown. Here come the wood blocks. So, and that builds from there. And then the final chorus is a pretty straight. Oh, and the shakers are back. There you go, some shakers there. I've got the live shaker for that section. So it's all on triplets. And then we've got 2 for the outro. So I've recorded 2 shakers. Okay, so one's playing half time. Oh, there's a guiro doing something as well. Just kind of, that's like a shaker as well, but it's a guiro with a brush, I think. So that's You're Welcome. That's the big Maui tune. That's really cool. Georgie did a great job on that. And also then the next tune, which is Shiny, it's like a kind of a glam rock thing. I think about some sort of sea snail. Which is just bonkers. If you watch the video, it's fantastic. What Georgia did with it anyway. But this is almost like a glam rock. David Bowie, it's that kind of thing. It's a definite nod to the glam rock thing, and it's called Shiny, which is obviously the whole spangly, whatever you call it, suits. So the percussion in that section. Oh yeah, but the drums. I must mention the drums on that they're all going to be mainly. Sorry, we're going back. I'm jumping back. We're going back to You're Welcome. The drums on that are going to be all native instruments, Abbey Road kits and stuff. So that's a snare I made, but only within the Abbey Road 80s drummer, which I made for another track actually, and I've just tweaked it for this, which is a straightforward sort of fat snare, quite ambient but short. And the hats and toms, all the same sort of stuff. It's all the Abbey Road or modern drummer, studio drummer, native instruments kits, which are kind of my go-to live drums for doing tracks. Okay, so then Shiny, it needed a few other little elements. I've actually managed to get a little plop in here somewhere as well, because at the beginning I could hear there was like one little. I must have overdubbed it. I overdubbed it on the final mix, just to add it. Okay, but this one, Shiny, starts off at quite a grudgy kind of thing. There's some detuned claps. This is where the transition is. So there's a low. Oh, those low hits are back. The ambient low stuff from Storm Drum 3. I think from Storm Drum 3. So there's some orchestral percussion here now, which is timps, which is probably east-west. Yeah, probably. They're going to be, if I can find them. There they are. Yeah, so these are Hollywood percussion, East-West Hollywood orchestral percussion. So these are the Tims, which are lovely. That's just the main mic, not the close mics. It's the room mic, you know. Again, that that library is fantastic. So the timps come in, tambourines, and that's the build up to some other strange stuff. So the timps there are playing a bass line, which you quite often get with timpani, because it's possible to actually play a bass line with a timpani. So they're doing that. You've got the taikos are back for some low end. The damage, what are they doing? Again, just a bit of low end underneath. Big sangba drums. 808 hat. So if this is the first time we see like a real kind of blatantly a drum machine hat, which would be from Battery, one of my old 808s from somewhere. Sampled probably just off an 808. Then we have the low claps, which again are in Battery, detuned. So I'm taking a couple of claps, some old samples. I think that's one of them's a 909. Various places in the past, and then just combine them, detune them, and it gives that lovely kind of crunchy kind of. And Beltry, which is a sample I made with a friend of mine who's a percussionist, actually playing his Beltry, which kind of goes, which I just love it. It just goes all crunchy and mad on the top end. I probably just distorted it when I recorded it years ago. It's mad. You got this kind of going on. Love that. A live shaker. Again, that's me playing the shaker. And then we move into the chorus, and the drummer comes back. So I use the same drum kit. I didn't see the point in really trying to change the drums up too much, because it's easier in the mix down, because it's more consistent then, and it's more in keeping. There's some congas come in for a bit of rhythm, and then there's a stereo real hand claps come in just to keep the rhythm going. Some tambourines. I think that's about it. But something like that, the congas do so much. They do so much without them. Yeah, I was just taking a look at the mix to see what I'd done to the drums, but not a lot. Just kept them pretty much as they are. I would have affected them eventually on the main mix anyway as a stereo bus. Okay, so that's when all the kind of fun tunes get out of the way, and then comes the big Disney princess ballad, which is I Am Moana, which is the big moment where she's kind of like, I guess, coming of age kind of thing. There's some tinkly things at the beginning where I think her grandmother is singing again, before it goes into that interesting section, and it builds to a big cinematic thing. So there's a couple of finger cymbals, which are just dings, little ding dings, probably triangles. That was, I'll just find out where they are from. There you go, that's the east-west again. So that will be the, not the tambourine, finger cymbals, there you go, it's finger cymbals, which are just down here, which are just, again, beautifully recorded. So then it starts to build, and it gets into the big, I am this, I am that, it's the big, in comes the beat. But just really subtly underneath, in this section, it kind of harks back to the original, the kind of tribal beats on the earlier stuff, with back on the island and all that kind of stuff. But with this, it kind of comes in really kind of subtly underneath and just kind of simmers and builds, and it just adds to the whole kind of like, okay, here we go, this is going to be like a massive chorus. So that's where it starts to come in, and that's just like underneath the orchestra, basically the strings and stuff, it's just building and building and building. It comes to the first crescendo, and we're getting a bit bigger. Again, it's all similar instruments to what we've already had earlier on. The taikos are back, the frame drum, daiko, The low hits djembe. It's actually a different djembe this time. So let's have a listen to that one because it's a different instrument. Probably sounds very similar, but there's probably a lot of velocity stuff going on there. Yeah. Builds to the final. And again, the timps are playing a bass line. Dun dum bum bum bum. Which all sounds a bit kind of weird on its own. It makes total sense when you listen to it in context with the orchestra. Okay, so nearly there. Know Who You Are. This is very, very subtle. There's hardly any percussion in it. There's a little bit of a boom at the end, which goes like that. Which is harking back again to the very intro. So we know we're coming to the kind of end kind of thing. And then there's like a final reprise, which is We Know the Way. Same song as before. Slightly different, but again, the same kind of rolling rhythmical stuff. This time the orchestra is pretty big on this section, so the timps are now playing the bass line along with the basses, the double basses, and the trombones and things, you know. We've got a good heavy kick there, which is a live kick, because it's the final one, just to keep it, you know, to really punch it. So that's it. That's the end of the percussion for that. Hope that was useful. I think I got everything in there. I think I mentioned most of the stuff I'm using here. Just have a quick run through. Yeah, sample tank, kick, battery. Oh, Poison. Poison. That would have been in Shiny. Which, how far through is that? Where's Shiny? There it is. I am on it. Okay, Shiny. So Poison. That's going to be a riser, isn't it? That's going to be a going into the chorus. A riser going into the chorus, which is going to be... Nope, not there. There it is. I've got it. Okay. So it's this. Okay. I hope that was worth the wait. I'll play it again in context. Okay. So yeah, it's just simply an effect. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like a throwaway little riser thing going into the here comes the chorus bit. I think that's it. That's cool. I'm going to sign off and keep it as short as is possible. I'm just having a quick look. Yeah, that's basically everything covered. So I hope it was useful. It's the first one. The next one is gonna be, I guess we're gonna look at guitars, bass maybe, or maybe look at some of the orchestral, whatever. Any feedback, comments, whatever, that'd be awesome. It'd be great to hear from you all. Your thoughts, and if I'm skimming through anything too quick and you want me to further explain any of the libraries or any plugins, like I say on this, I'm not using a lot of plugins anyway, so there's not a lot to explain on the mix side for this. This is just the basic programming. From this, I would have basically exported a whole ton of stems, like the kind of the low, maybe the timps and the bass drums together, and just keep it as separate as possible. But I probably would have joined together maybe the congas and the djembes and then brought them in as stems on the other session. So it's a bit of a complicated kind of process, and hopefully you get that it's like a ton of work gone into it for a start. which it's got to be really, with anything like this, you get back what you put in, really. You can't really, you can't cut any corners. You got to go for it. And I knew that from previously working with Georgia, I knew that she was going to chuck everything into it from her end as well, which is great. So I hope that was all good. I'm sorry if I've left anything out or forgotten to mention anything. Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you for the next video. Thanks a lot.